Good morning and welcome to Mindful Movement with AARP Alabama. Good morning and welcome to Mindful Movement. I'm your host, Tawana Wright, standing in for Margie Curry, our outstanding volunteer who usually hosts this show. Today's show is with yoga instructor Becca Impala. Becca has been a yoga instructor and a physical therapist for more than 20 years. Folks, we want to remind you that AARP empowers people to choose how they live as they age. AARP is a nonpartisan 501c4 organization that has over 420,000 members in Alabama. AARP's role is to advocate for those 50 plus and their families. AARP Alabama is committed to providing opportunities for you to stay active in your home, and the mindful movement session, the exercise, and the yoga give you the opportunity to do that. Becca, what do we have on tap for today?
Good morning, Tawana. Well, it's Thanksgiving week, right? So this is always a good week to just make sure we're getting our bodies moving if we're traveling or just sitting around watching more football or, having more feasts than we normally do. So we'll make sure we get the whole body moving, and then we'll do a little bit of a gratitude meditation just to bring home, that element of being grateful and giving thanks that's so much a part of this season.
That sounds great. Folks, we want to remind you that before you begin any exercise routine, you should check in with your doctor to make sure it's safe to participate. All right, Becca, take it away.
All right, thanks, Tawana. So, just to reiterate, you can do all of these movements and things that I'm suggesting through a range of size and speed. So anything that we're doing, you can tailor it just to what makes sense for you. That also means you can skip anything that doesn't seem appropriate for you, all right? We're going to use the chair like we always do. That means that just more of us can participate because we've got this nice prop that gives us support for balance when we're standing, and we can do a lot of great things seated in the chair rather than needing to get down onto the floor. All right, so let's get going with this Thanksgiving week session where we'll try to just loosen up and move the body and take a little heart-centered meditation at the end to enhance that feeling of gratitude for the season. All right, so let's sit tall, feet on the floor, hands on the thighs or the knees. Maybe close the eyes. That's an optional thing. Sometimes closing the eyes just helps us to bring the attention more internal. Just start to notice your breathing. We call this mindful movement for a reason because we're using this opportunity to really be purposeful about where we're putting our attention, where we're directing the energy of our mind. So I want you to start and bring your awareness into your breathing for the next couple of moments and just feel yourself. Inhale and exhale. Don't worry, there's no right or wrong way about this. You're just simply noticing your own breath. And if it feels like there's room to enhance, to breathe a little bit deeper, to breathe a little bit fuller, I want you to go ahead and do that. Take a little bit deeper breath. Maybe hold it a split second. Exhale and try to get all of the breath out of the body, clearing out those lungs. Let's do 3 more. Nice full deep breaths. One more big breath in. All the way out. Now let's loosen up. You're going to turn the head side to side. As you make your first movements, keep paying attention. Keep being mindful as best you can. Noticing how these movements feel in your body. Next time your chin is over towards one shoulder, pause. And then start to drop it down. We're going to make a circle. Chin across the chest. All the way to the other side. And then gently up in the air with that chin. Keep it comfortable for the back of your neck. No pain there, of course. And then make that circle around again across the chest. Chin up on the other side. Lift a little bit into the air. One more time. time in this direction. Go slow with these movements, especially for the neck. That'll keep you from, doing something that's, a little too much or too far. Now let's reverse direction. So just at some point, stop and then take that head around the circle the other way a few times. One more circle this direction. And then lift that head back up onto your shoulders. Maybe open the eyes now. Now let's start to move down the body, moving into those shoulders and shoulder blades, upper back. So start some circles with the shoulders. Bring them forward and up, back and down. This is one of those movements that I'll probably never stop doing, never stop teaching, because it's just so beneficial to get all those muscles on our upper back and around the fronts of our shoulders moving and loosened up. This can feel great if you've been sitting in the car for a while, or you've been bent over the kitchen counter cooking or cleaning. Now let's do a little different here. Let's do one shoulder at a time. All right, so when we do one shoulder at a time, now we can add a little more movement for the rest of the spine. So start to create a little twist or turn in the body as you bring that shoulder back. You can turn as much as you want in that direction. And if you also want something a little more, you can start to make your arm movement a little bigger. Pick up that elbow, not just the shoulder blade. Maybe pick up the whole arm and sweep that arm up towards the ceiling and around back behind you. A couple more times. Notice how this feels for the spine, down to the lower back even. Good. Come back to face forward. Take the arms down at your sides with the palms facing forward and open and close those hands a few times. So get the fingers curling into the fist and then spreading out wide, curling into the fist. Get a little more involved with the wrist as you get this movement going. As you spread the fingers, reach the fingers back and press the heels of the hands down. When you curl into that fist, see if you can really curl the knuckles in towards the forearm, stretching the back of the hand. Do a couple more times. If you want to, you can start to bend the elbows when you bring the fists forward and sweep the arms a little further back when you go back behind. This gets a little more of the upper body involved there. 3 more times, hands, fingers, wrists, elbows. Good, last one. Bring those arms up towards the ceiling, maybe out into a V, maybe close together. You choose either way. Lengthen up, sitting nice and tall, and then drop one hand down. You can hold the side of your chair if you want as you stretch up and over any amount, right? So you might go as far as me, you might go further, you might go less. And then bring both arms back up, sit tall, and take the other hand down and stretch it over to the side. And we'll do that again. Reach both arms up in the middle, take a nice deep breath. Take it over to the side. Now this time, let's stay here and do just a little rib cage roll. So roll your rib cage down towards the floor and then roll the front of your rib cage or your chest up towards the ceiling. Any amount. So just a little rolling motion here for the torso as we stay in this side stretch. Good. Last time, roll forward. Roll back up to center, reach up overhead. Take the other arm down, stretch up and over. And then any amount of movement. So remember, this might be small, and in fact, it's intended to be a small movement. Roll forward, roll back. One more. And then bring it back up to center one more time. Reach with both arms. And then drop them down. Good. Just take a moment to feel the sensation in your body, all through the arms, shoulders, and torso. We've just done a lot of movements to stimulate those areas of the body. So take a little mindful moment just to notice how those feel. And then we'll work on loosening up the hips and the legs before we get up on our feet. So let's start with some pelvic rocking. You roll back and roll forward, right on the sitting bones. Those are the two bony points in the bottom of your buttocks, right? The base of the pelvis. So we're tipping forward, and that's going to arch the low back a little bit. We're rolling back. That's going to round the low back a little bit. This movement could be small for you, or it might feel comfortable to make it bigger. Good. And then let's think about turning this into more of a circular movement. So think about circling around your pelvis, going over to one side, rolling back over to the other side, and then tilting forward. So the whole torso, rib cage, and shoulders, of course, are coming along with this movement. But see if you can focus your attention on the circling, shifting of weight that you're making on your hips and your sitting bones. Now let's go the other direction. Good. One more circle around. And back up tall. All right, let's loosen up the legs a little bit. Sit tall, maybe hold on to the chair if you need a little support. And alternatively, you could engage the arms and hold your fists out to the side. One leg at a time, bend and straighten at that knee joint. Loosening up that joint, getting some lubrication going there, some joint fluid moving. Let's hold that foot out in front for a couple of moments and circle the ankle. Go the other direction. And then bring it down. All right, shake out the arms and the torso for a moment. Just take a deeper breath. And then get set. Either hold on to the chair or arms out. And the other leg, bend and straighten at the knee. Good. And then let's hold it out. Loosen up the ankle. A couple big circles. Go the other way. And release. Shake out the body. All right, let's do a little bit in standing. So we're probably going to do plenty of sitting for the rest of this week and weekend with football and food and family and all those things that we do this week for Thanksgiving. So let's get on our feet and move around a little bit. So I'm going to stand in front of our chair. Now you have the option, as I usually tell you, to use the floor instead of the chair. So if that's something that works for you, you just bypass the chair, and every time I say put your hands on the chair, you're coming down to the floor, or perhaps you're coming out of the way to your hands and knees for some of those movements. All right, so let's stand tall for a moment. Lift up through the crown of the head. Shift your weight just a little bit back towards your heels. This usually helps us sort of line up our body in a nice straight line, stacking up the joints. Go ahead and see if you can lift and spread your toes any, just to wake up the muscles in your feet and your legs. And then you can release those toes down, but try to keep that active feeling in your legs. Go ahead and bring the hands up to the heart, stand tall. And then go ahead and just turn in one direction. Reach the arms forward and back. And then come back to center, hands to the heart. Stand up tall, inhale, exhale, and turn the other way. Reach the arms forward and back, although you could keep them at your heart. Come back to center, inhale, turn. So we're turning, but not down at our feet, really just turning from the waist up, back to center, turn. Good. One more time, turn. Back to center, inhale, exhale, turn. Back to center. All right, now soften the knees and put the hands down on the seat of the chair, or alternatively, you could be in hands and knees all the way on the ground if you'd like. All right, so let's loosen up the back, rounding up into a cat shape, we call it, like a Halloween or scared cat. And then flatten the back, lifting the sitting bones up. Make sure you let your knees bend if you're standing. And go back and forth. You can tuck the chin, get a little more movement there in the neck and the upper back as well. And about 3 more of these. Last one. Now we're going to do next a little loosening up for the hip joints. All right, so we'll stay in our tabletop or our hands and knees position. You can have knees as soft as you need them to be to feel like you're comfortably, flattened in your back. If you're standing, you might want to walk your feet closer together just for a little more stability. All right, and we're just picking one leg up, one foot up if you're standing, and now circle that knee around. All right, so you do the same thing if you're on hands and knees. You're just making a slow circle that's as big as is comfortable for you. I'm trying not to move my back or my spine very much. I'm trying to just move my leg. So I'm just getting the hip. Now reverse direction, same leg, but go circle the other way. Notice how this feels. Might be some tightness, stiffness. I feel a little soreness from some stuff I did yesterday. So I'm just making a mental note of that, noticing that sensation. All right, take that foot down or that knee down. Let's switch sides. Circle that knee around. So we're getting, really the mobilization is for the hip joints, not so much the knee. Make the biggest circle that you're comfortable making. Try not to move very much through your spine or your pelvis, moving mainly that leg and the hip joint. Go the other direction now. Keep those circles pretty slow and controlled. You just get more out of them that way. And I think you're a little less likely to, hurt something or to aggravate something if you go slowly. Last time. And take that foot down. All right, have those feet back apart if you're standing. And we're going to take it to downward facing dog. So if you're standing using the chair, walk your feet back and extend out through the arms and the spine. If you're on the ground in hands and knees, you tuck the toes and push your hips up and back. You have both your hands and the balls of your feet on the floor. And this is a great one to move a little bit with. So maybe try bending one knee, straightening the other, back and forth. This always feels good to my hips. Again, gives them a little bit of a stretch out. So remember some of these things, folks. If you are traveling in the next day or two, you could, do some of these stretches when you get out of the car. Put your hands on the trunk of the car and push back and do some of these things here. It'll feel great for your body. All right. Now we're going to bring the left foot forward. We're stepping into a lunge position. So if you're down on the ground, pretty much looks just the same as this, and you can have your hands on the floor or you can have your hands on your knee. If you're down on the ground, you can have your back knee on the floor as well. All right, now everyone gets the choice to maybe bring those hands up. If you want to keep a hold of the chair, keep yourself balanced and steady, that's perfectly fine as well. Let's all try to squeeze this back glute, the right hip, nice and firm. This helps us open up, get that good stretch for the front of the thigh and the hip. One more breath here. And then bring those hands back down to the chair or to the floor. We'll step it right back into downward facing dog again. Push those hips back, lengthen out through the arms and the spine. Remember, you're going to the point that feels right for you. You may not look exactly like I do. In fact, I think it's quite likely that you won't because we're all a little bit different. Take one more breath here. And then step that other foot. For me, it's the right leg towards the front, maybe under the chair a little bit. Remember, if you're down on the floor, you have that option to put your knee on the ground. Okay, that can make that one a little different. Option for everybody to take those hands off the chair, perhaps raise them overhead. Let's get that active squeeze of the back leg, the buttock there. Helps us to open up the front hip and thigh. And then let's bring it back down one more time for the downward facing dog. Stepping it back or lifting up off the ground and pressing the hips back if you're using the floor instead of the chair. One more breath here. And then walk it all the way in. And come up to standing. Good. Just pause for a moment, standing tall on your feet again. Another breath or two. All right, now, if you want to continue to have the chair for some support, for balance, turn it around or move yourself around so that you can just be able to reach and touch the chair as needed. This could also be a piece of furniture or a wall, or if you don't feel like you need to bother with something for balance, then no worries. Don't worry about where that chair is. Let's step out wide. All right, and go ahead and turn both toes out a little bit. All right, now what I want you to do is just start to do a little gentle side to side shift. This could be small. If your knees feel a little cranky with this one, make it a smaller movement. All right, again, just a little more. Loosen up the hips. Good. And then come back to center, bend both knees and just sit down into a little bit of a squat, okay? Pushing the thighs open, tucking the tail down, lift up through the belly and the chest. You could have your hands at the heart. You might be touching. You could also bring those arms open, squeeze back between the shoulder blades. One more breath here. And then straighten those knees, take the hands down. Now let's turn the feet to one direction. So I'm letting both feet sort of turn the same way. I'll have a little bit of a turn in on the back leg, and then the leg that I'm more likely turning towards or facing is going to turn all the way out. Then we're going to straighten that knee and just gently fold in. So you could be leaning on the chair, or you could be just putting that hand on the thigh. Make sure there's no strain at the inside of your knee. And if you need to keep it a little more bent, keep it a little more bent. So just a nice stretch here for that inner thigh. You can come down lower, of course, if you feel like you need to go a little further to feel that stretch. And bring it on up. Turn, spin the feet all the way to the other side. So again, I've got what I consider my back leg turned just a little bit in, and my forward leg turned all the way out. And then I'm going to lean in until I feel a little bit of stretch on this side. And then come on back up. Turn the feet forward, walk it in. All right, let's come back to sitting down again. Do a couple more stretches, and then our bit of meditation on gratitude. So sit tall, take a deep breath, and reach the arms out. And then exhale, wrap those arms around your chest. Walk those fingertips as far back on your upper back as you comfortably can. Imagine just giving yourself a big old hug. This is a great opportunity to go ahead and start cultivating that gratitude for yourself, for your body, for its function. Take a deep breath in, and if you'd like, you could drop that chin down towards your chest, maybe even round it slightly forward. Now lift the head, the chest up. Notice which arm is on top, because we're just going to switch. Take the arms out and back as far as you comfortably can, lifting up. And then exhale, bring those arms back around with the other arm on top. Walk those fingertips back. Again, give yourself a slight rounding forward. Inhale and lift up. Open up those arms, reach them back behind you. Maybe reach far enough back to grab your chair. If that works for your chair and your body proportions, grab the chair. If not, reach back without grabbing. Lift up as much as feels comfortable with the chest and the chin. Breathe into that front body. And exhale, release. Shake that out. Now let's just stretch the hips and then we'll move it on to our meditation. Bring one ankle up to the knee. If that doesn't work for your hip, you cross it below the knee. Maybe extending that bottom leg out a little bit to support a turned out thigh and knee. You sit up tall, maybe there's room to lean into it for some of us. Want to feel some stretch in the outer hip, glutes, back of the thigh perhaps. Keep that mindfulness turned on so that you're aware of how this feels. You're noticing the sensations in your body. And come on back up, switch sides, crossing low ankle, shin, or up on the knee and the thigh. Again, maybe there's room to lean forward. It really all depends on where you crossed it and what the flexibility in that particular hip is like for you. Mindful awareness of how this side feels. Maybe compare it to the other side. All right, and then release that. Feet on the floor, maybe scoot back in that chair if you'd like. Let's just take a few moments here. You might close the eyes if you want, or you can keep your gaze soft and unfocused out in front of you. If you'd like, you could put a hand on the heart center or even both hands if you want. We are calling in the heart. The heart is where gratitude resides. But gratitude is something that we have to be mindful about. Unfortunately, our psyche is going to tend to more attach to the things that we're frustrated or maybe not so grateful for. We have to actually make it a specific practice and use our powers of mindfulness to welcome in all the opportunities that exist every day to give thanks. Right? Those are all the little things that may happen. A little glimpse of beauty that you see somewhere in your day, a kindness shown to you by a stranger or a friend, recognition of your own abilities and the gifts that you're being given every day in your life, your breath. So this is a great week to really cultivate that practice, to be mindful of giving thanks. We have a whole holiday for it. It's really a healthy practice to incorporate all year long. As you take this practice into your day and into the rest of your week, notice how the opportunities are there if your mindfulness is turned on to give thanks, to be grateful day in and day out for all the little things and certainly for all the big things. Take a few breaths, see what comes to you right now in your heart that you're grateful for. Imagine that right now in this moment of awareness, you're opening up the doors. You're opening up the doors of your heart and your mind to be more tuned in, more likely to perceive all the things in your day, in your life, in your community that you can be grateful for. When we cultivate gratitude in our lives, in our daily lives especially, what I find is that is the seed for hope. Right? So when we recognize and are grateful for the things that we're given, experiences we have, that opens us up to realize that there's more possible. And then we can cultivate hope and have that grow bigger and bigger. Let's finish with 3 more breaths to the heart. Heart open wide and ready for Thanksgiving. All right, and then drop the hands to your lap, open your eyes. I'm thankful as always for AARP of Alabama for giving us this opportunity to practice mindful movement every Tuesday. And I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving this week.
Becca, thank you for giving us that time out for gratitude. Folks, thank you for joining us for Mindful Movement, and we'll see you next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Time. Take care.
Grateful for you, Tawana. Have a great Thanksgiving.
You too. Bye-bye.